My Rico shirt. Showing off the Ricos. Dang, okay. I guess if I vibe over here a little bit, yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, hello? Okay, cool. Yep. Hey, what's up, everybody? Dogman, Adminman. Okay, so we're gonna get some videos recorded. I'm gonna have to start with some Sweet Life. Okay, so we've been talking about ooh, I gotta record, actually. I just realized I didn't even try to record. Let me head to the drive. The Google Drive, as the kids say. Yeah. That's do be what they say. You like my Rico shirt? Big Hannah Montana fan over here. Hello. Okay. Let's see here. One sec, guys. I gotta get set up. I appreciate everybody being here, though. Are you guys working on anything of your own today? I like to think of this as kind of like a co-work session. What are we going now? Yeah, I do want to continue doing Edda and Nettie. It's just my animation videos have not been doing as well as my regular ones. So I'm trying to double down, finish my live action sitcom videos, and then I will jump back to the cartoons. Yeah, it's just hard because I don't get a lot of views on that. But I still want to do them. I love Ed, and Eddie, and I can't wait. Actually, maybe I'll rewatch the second season tonight. We'll see how quickly I can actually put together a new one. Because that's always the trick of it, isn't it? Oh my gosh. It's your day off. Well, welcome. Hate to give you more work, but we're having a good time here. Yeah. Working with Johnny2000. Oh, we're like actually working is the issue. I like to work. I think it's fun. Okay, so we're gonna do the most offensive episodes. Okay. Okay. Let me think of an intro. Dylan and Cole Sprouse, twins, leaders, actors, taking the Sweet Life series by storm, making it this iconic blonde duo are aggravating everybody in their life, more specifically the adults. That's a good start. I'm not sure if you guys have seen an offensive of video by Johnny2000, but essentially I go through older episodes of these shows, pick out about 2 or 3 per season, and kind of talk about why I don't like them. Just like the ways that characters don't represent the original story, maybe they fall too off the premise. Or maybe there's just genuinely shocking things in that episode that I'm like, you guys have to know about this, especially if you're planning on skipping it. I know Sweet Life is an old show. These 2000 shows definitely make it hard to rewatch sometimes. For me, it's that little bar on both sides of the screen. It definitely bothers me. But here we're going to be jumping into Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and The Sweet Life on Deck. As you know, they're pretty much the same entity, with the second half of that franchise being a continuation of the first. Disney just did it as a way of saving money. Already something I'm offended by. I get offended by nothing. So we start with... So season 1 of Zack and Cody was about 26 episodes, and they really were about establishing the twins' relationship, how good they had it at this Tipton hotel, and then how well it worked as an ensemble show, with the whole cast essentially being the workers at this place. Sweet Life on Deck is more so about Zack and Cody growing up, having more friends in their circle, but this one is more Zack and Cody fitting in with the adults. Maddie and London are a big central part of this show, with them being the B-plot most of the first season. I felt like a lot of the episodes in the first season started off pretty strong. If it wasn't establishing Zack and Cody's relationship, it was doing a good job at establishing the comedy, the hijinks, everything that the boys are willing to get away with, and it's more about, like, their moral dilemmas, if anything. And Zack and Cody are twins. That comes into play a lot. I don't know if I spoiled anything for you telling you that. I shouldn't have. But yeah, the first season was good. So to find an episode I really didn't like was kind of hard. But I started out with the obvious one, the one that ended up causing a little bit of controversy and not coming back in a lot of reruns. It's called Smart and Smarterer. This episode is really funny because... Oh, hold up. 21, 18, 15, 14, 13, 10, 11, 12... Where is it? Hold up. Okay. Let me... Smart and Smarter... Zack and Cody. 1 second, guys. I have to get this episode. Or at least figure out what's going on with this episode. This is the part I hate about this. Sourcing the episodes are so hard. Finding it. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now.
Since you two have arrived in my hotel, you have been nothing.
Welcome! Thanks for joining to my channel. Appreciate having you here. Do you like 2000's content? Sorry, I'm recording a video right now, so I'm kind of doing the same thing. Smarter and Smarterer is a pretty controversial episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, mainly because it's the episode about Zack pretending to have dyslexia. And dyslexia is a learning disability in which, you know, numbers appear very differently to you. And it requires a lot of accommodation, and the school system has to help you a lot. Basically, it's a little intense having a character fake a disorder like that. Like, having Zach be the rebel is one thing, but having him like completely mimic a mental state is kind of crazy. I feel like it's hard to believe. I do think the episode is cool in the fact that like you can't find it on streaming software, on streaming services, so it's like kind of like a lost gem, which networks have to think about. Like, if you're really willing to take the episode off the air, you got to know that people are going to look for it later, you know? Like me. I'm going to look for it later. Yeah, I love episodes when they just, like, aren't... Oh, sorry, my light. I love it when, like, TV shows have episodes that are just so controversial that they have to take them off the air. Like, that's insane, isn't it? Sorry, my lighting is really bothering me. Yeah. Honestly, like, some of the shock humor can be a little bit funny in this episode, I have to admit. With the first season being so good, it was kind of challenging to find episodes I didn't love, or so I had to kind of think about the fact, like, which one are, like, not consistent with the characters, which ones feel like they're going a little too out of their way. That's hard to say. I'm gonna take that out.
I'm confident. Oh, thank goodness. I mean, Zach, I am so sorry for yelling at you. You're great.
Yeah, the way Carrie feels bad about being a bad parent because she didn't care about the fact that Zach might have this learning disability is a big deal. Like, it sucks to see all the adult figures feel so disappointed in themselves considering they're lying. And having Cody be the one that's, like, trying to play the conscience of Zach is kind of funny, though. Like, it sets up their dynamic of, like, the angel and devil type of, like, doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. There's a lot of funny jokes in it, especially in the B-plot. It's a lot Maddie... Since the episode's called Smart and Smarterer, they do a good job at having the B-plot be about that, too, with London being so good at chess.
Games, no TV.
It's crazy to see how far Zach is willing to go to not get his homework done. Like, we get it. Like, he's kind of a slacker. He has trouble, like, doing all these homework assignments. Even later in the series, this plot line doesn't get shy of coming back multiple times. But I feel like it's also the weakest time they've done this. Like, they've had funnier episodes about Zach trying to keep up with school, or Cody being, like, a little too overachiever-y. But this one is the one that kind of puts it in bad taste. I feel like it's not as fun of an experience, not a lot of comedy. It's just more like the shock of lying about having this disorder is the worst part. But yeah, Maddie and London have a similar situation that has to do with Maddie being a little too smart for London.
Okay, I'll meet you in one more move. Checkmate.
London is surprisingly a genius at chess, which is kind of hard for me to believe, considering, like, there's so many times where she's told us the things she can't do, and I feel like chess definitely embodies, like, a lot of stuff she can't do, but I guess we're gonna suspend our disbelief. I just hate when, like, shows make up plot lines that really don't have to do a lot with the characters. So it's, like, kind of an unnecessary plot to be tacked on to the episode. Yeah, it just feels a lot of characters are out of their place in this one. You feel bad for more people than you have laughs, and just all around Smart and Smarter are not a great experience of Zach and Cody. It's so weird to think about.
How great Cody is in school.
It's kind of relatable toward the end when Zach has his little speech about how he's tired of getting overlooked when Cody is so smart. So you kind of feel bad for him a little bit. I feel like I would argue Disney Channel does a really good job at the writing of making it justified that he did this, and I really hope they like bring back this episode one day. Maybe it resurfaces because it is necessary of a watch, even though it's not the best episode and I didn't love it. I felt like it was a good episode. So definitely should be brought back somehow. But yeah, if you want to see more about the plot and how everything transpires, you could check out my Sweet Life Season 1 video. I think I dive into it a lot. Oh, and the band episodes video I talk about. So yeah, check that out. Yeah, otherwise, this episode is not so amazing. But the other one that I really didn't love was Season 1, Episode 26. The other one that was kind of in the running for Season 1 alongside this is Boston Holiday. It's essentially the Christmas episode, and, you know, you expect it to be, like, a really cool, like, Christmas Carol type special, something interesting with the first time of us seeing Christmas at the Tipton. But it ends up being more about the mom and dad and Cody fighting between both of them.
Don't mind interrupting your little game. Come here. I need your signatures on place for the royal visit.
Most people. But if I may refer you to paragraph 3, subsection D, Roman numeral V, Love you.
Oh, sorry. Help me take this back, actually, guys. So the other episode in Season 1 that I would say was, like, a very close runner-up in terms of, like, being the worst one of the season is Christmas in Boston, the holiday episode of the show. And it's cool because it starts with all those, like, classic Halloween, holiday vibe. It starts with all those classic Christmas vibes, like, you see the snow outside the Tipton, there's actually a reason to be in Boston, and, you know, the twins are in the holiday spirit. There's a giant Christmas tree in the lobby, which I think is a great idea. It's so crazy to me that, like, Christmas never comes back to the Tipton. So the fact that this is their only Christmas episode and they don't really hit a lot of the nice traditional moments kind of bothers me. Overall, like, not even a good holiday episode, let alone a Sweet Life episode. The CGI in this one is also kind of crazy. Like, I get it. You're trying to redo it for the holidays, but it's so unnecessary and makes it look like it's worse than it actually is.
Do you know what they gave me last Christmas? Oh, by the way, do you know what your birthstone is? Oh, come back here, you coward!
You know, a lot of celebrities have taken up handicraft.
Oh. Am I still live? Yeah, sorry guys. Oh. The premise is kind of interesting. Basically, there's a huge snowstorm, and every character like had their aspirations, like what they wanted to do for the holiday, but everything is canceled because they're stuck there. Even a couple that is expecting a child is trapped in the Tipton. Not only is this like a really cool concept, but they kind of abandon it. The thing that I don't like about this episode is, see, at first it sounds like a really interesting concept. You know, like Christmas at the Tipton, we get this nice thing of everybody coming together for the holidays, but then it becomes more about the mom and dad, and Zach and Cody thinking that they're going to be back together. And I feel like it's not very Christmassy of a plot. Like, they've had a lot of mom and dad episodes, but to shove it in to also be a holiday special is the part that I feel like they really missed the mark on. Like, it could have been a really good, funny special, but it just becomes more of a plot that's texturized by Christmas. And I would forgive it pretty easily if it was a lot funnier. I go a long way, but it wasn't. It just kept everybody in the lobby for the sake of having them all in the lobby. And, I mean, I like bottle episodes. I think this is really good. But the extra focus on the characters that don't have anything to do with the main ensemble, for being the first season, like, I still have characters I haven't had episodes about yet. And yet we're following this couple about to give birth at the Tipton. I don't think it has a lot to do. So it's like, this episode is containing a little too much going on. There's the parents not getting back together, the whole holidays, the snowstorm, and then this couple that's about to have a child. Like, it just feels a little out of place. Like, I think they could have had a better slot in the first season and saved the Christmas episode for a lot later. But what can you do? It's kind of too late now. So yeah, that was the first season episodes. Okay. Oh. Sorry, guys. I recorded by accident. Extra recorded by accident. Okay, let me see the chat. What's up, everybody? Man, AI getting better and better. Yeah. Dude, that would make me feel great if you thought I was AI. I don't think AI would look... They would make me look a little bit better than I do. I'm not trying to diss myself, but I've seen better looking AI agents than me. So, be more interesting, I guess I would say. Okay, so now we're going to the second season of Sweet Life. This is when it got a lot more interesting, but there was kind of like a rough transition between the first and second, where the boys looked the same age as the first for like the first 10 episodes, and then going forward, the show kind of matures. It's interesting to see a show actually walk you through them all growing up. Great concept, but I do feel like there's like a little bit of growing pains at the beginning of this transition. A lot of the episodes are out of order, sure, but what I'm really talking about is the quality. There is a lot of boring episodes in the second season, and that's kind of where I come from in this one. For example, there's books and birdhouses. In this episode, Zach is actually really good at woodshop. He's great making cabinets and shelves, and like Cody is feeling really insecure. Kind of reminds me of Smart and Smarter, in the sense that it's about education and one of the twins feeling insecure that the other one is doing better. The teacher has a lot of favoritism in Zach, which is something that, yeah, nobody's used to. But this one teacher, I swear, he's in like every episode. I can't believe they keep bringing this guy back. He must be a good actor. He's also in the Drama Club episode, question mark? What? Yeah, books and birdhouses, like, it's a really interesting concept, and it just feels like it's been not only done before, but also not only been done before, but like, I don't know, it feels like nothing is progressing. It definitely represents the awkward age of the show, where it's like, it looks like it could be a season 1 episode, and I kind of thought I might have forgotten it in season 1. I tried to see if I could figure out there was like a production code that was like missing, but no, this is like for sure the second season. And a lot of my complaints on these 39 episodes are sometimes it just gets boring. Like, Sweet Life is usually at worst still a really good story, but these episodes are a lot more awkward, like I was saying before. Like, they don't give themselves full permission to be super funny. They kind of hold themselves to the standards they put in the first season, making it a little bit less authentic than the first season, something I wasn't expecting at all. Yeah, so Books and Birdhouses is a prime example of this. Another one would be season 2 episode, I don't even know which one. Another prime example of this would be Daycare. In this episode, Zach and Cody are in charge of the kids at the daycare. Moises Arias is a guest star, which is so funny because he wasn't known for Hannah Montana at that point. First season of Sweet Life was still really early in the Disney Channel games. It was cool that he was like this mastermind genius little kid that was too young to understand like what he was necessarily doing, like manipulating everybody. I like that Maddie is interwoven into the plot, and it's just this race to find all the kids across the hotel. It reminds me of that iCarly episode, I Hatch Chicks, where they have to find all the chicks that are lost in the hotel, in their apartment complex. That's essentially what they're doing in this episode. But, you know, having the adults and the kids be a little bit more intertwined to keep the same goal is fun. But yeah, there's something about it that's just too mundane for me to enjoy it. Like, the jokes weren't as good as the premise promised. I feel like I wanted to see crazier things happen, but more so, like, they tried to root it in too much of an original story. It almost felt like it was too wholesome for what Disney Channel would be, like, entertained by. Of course, it was 2007, like, they probably were still getting used to, like, their groundings, but 26 episodes in, I feel like the show knew its identity. It took a risk in, like, a really boring, mundane way, and Zach and Cody can be funnier than this. Like, it really didn't do it too much justice. Another one I feel like that actually carries that same tune is Boston Tea Party. Boston Tea Party is an episode where the boys find out that their favorite historical park is being torn down. And Zach and Cody are immediately upset, but they both kind of react to it in a different way. Like, Cody wants to fight the system and writes a letter to City Hall the whole episode. Meanwhile, Zach really doesn't care about history. He doesn't care about education. So it doesn't really matter to him if the park gets shut down. Already kind of like a boring premise. Like, Zach's the main character, but doesn't necessarily drive anything that's happening. And the entire episode is a historical flashback. The reason I didn't like this one growing up is because it felt like a history lesson with really boring jokes. Like, all the jokes are about the time period they're in. I mean, granted, Esteban and Arwen and Mr. Mosby are hilarious in this, and they sell it really well. They just don't make up for the little things that happen in the story. And everything, the action of, like, the Boston Tea Party, that historical moment that they bring up, doesn't really get seen ever. It's more like scenes of the main characters as different characters, making jokes based on the fact that it's old times, and not necessarily teaching a lot, because they just don't even show the events that they're talking about. You know, it's just them talking. It feels like a stage play, and them in weird outfits, committed to this whole idea that it's a, like, historical episode. I don't know. Something about it felt a little too educational, and I feel like if you guys have seen this episode, you know what I'm talking about. It just wasn't super engaging in a way that I would have liked it to be. So yeah, definitely Boston Tea Party is not one of my favorite episodes. Birdman of Boston also did this. I actually had to rewatch Birdman of Boston 3 separate times when I was doing the retrospective on it for my season 2 video. It's funny. It's such a good concept to think that Cody could be a mother to a baby bird. Like, how in the world would you teach it anything? But then it gets to be a little too much like Boston Tea Party, where it's more about like Cody advocating for the bird not getting harmed. Which is great. Like, sure, like we don't want to send the bird to the zoo. It won't be in a good mindset. But Mr. Mosby is a little too evil in trying to get rid of this bird without caring at all. The parents like don't really play an active role in supporting the characters. It's just more Cody doing a bunch of like funny skit ideas, it feels like. With Zach taking advantage of him the whole time and trying to profit off of him taking care of this child, that's where it gets a little too boring for me. You'll see that the parts I hate the most about the Sweet Life series come a lot in the environmental episodes. Like, I feel like they have Cody's character trait be more like he wants to be the conservative one, the one that like kind of fights for things, despite the fact that Maddie is supposed to be that whole advocate role. And Cody will just take it on, and it'll be Cody versus the world. And I don't know if you'll probably see as we keep going, but like Cody does this a lot. There's a lot of episodes of these shows that have Cody trying to be environmental friendly, and it's like the Boston Tea Party one. It's not interesting, it's not funny, it's a good message, but it's not put in a package where the message is worth even looking at. So unfortunately, yeah, the second season of Sweet Life definitely had its low points. I'm really not super keen on a lot of these episodes, and the fact I can only really name 4, and the fact I could already name like 4 is insane. Like, I bet I could go through this entire season and tell you which episodes I didn't like. But honestly, the second half always makes up for it because they mature. Like, Zach and Cody get to a point where they're just so funny every time they do something. But it's not until the second half of the second season, so a lot of the show isn't them at their most confident. Something I wish they could have, delved more into. Then we have Super Twins from Season 3. So Season 3, oh gosh, I gotta stop doing things backwards. Then we get to Season 3 of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and that is its show at its peak. It sucks that, like, London and Maddie become way less of, like, an active role in this series, as opposed to, like, being the B-plot in every episode in the second season and the first season. Like, they're so funny. I love watching Maddie and London. I feel like it's just as much a twin back-and-forth bickering show as Zach and Cody is. Like, I felt like it's so a part of the identity, but the third season did a really good job at, like, kind of migrating away into new characters that were just as funny. Like, we have the new candy counter girl is a part of this. Sorry. I gotta double check these characters. Nia is this new candy counter girl who has just as many problems as Maddie did, to kind of be a contrast to London. Like, London is rich, and Nia, I guess, just isn't as rich, and that's all that character needs to be for London to be funny. It's sad to think that Maddie has such a less active presence on the third season, but they really did, like, find their stride. Like, Cody got a job. What does Zach do? Cody and Zach get a job. Like, everybody's, like, growing up in a really fun way. It starts to remind me a lot of The Sweet Life on Deck pretty early. Maybe because The Sweet Life on Deck did a good job at, like, replicating the whole premise of the show. But one of the first ones I wanted to, like, mention is Super Twins, Season 3, Episode 3. Season 3, Episode 4. So this one's cool because Maddie is in it a decent amount. But it gets a little too off its rocker. It's a part of this larger marathon called When You Wish Upon a Star, where Hannah Montana, Corey in the House, and Sweet Life all had characters wishing on a star, and the entire episode kind of got to go haywire. It's very in the same vein as iCarly's I, April Fool's, or Victoria's or Victorious's April Fool's Day episode. They kind of get to do whatever they want. Disney Channel doesn't take advantage of it as much as Nickelodeon does, which is kind of respectable. Like, I like when Disney Channel actually still kind of sticks to their morals when it comes to, like, what they want to do in the episode, like how realistic it gets. But this one went a little too off of its hinges for me. And even though it's, like, probably better than all the other series that have done episodes like this one just was too much for me. In The Sweet Life on Deck, they do have a lot of, like, genre-twisted episodes, like The Boys Become Spies. A lot of, like, insane, unrealistic things start happening, not in the spirit of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which starts to bother me. And this is the first time I feel like they really committed to it. Sure, they had, like, the episode in the second season where everybody switched lives. That was pretty cool, but it was also grounded. This one takes it out of the ground and makes it just a superhero episode. Cool. I like watching all the cast members dress up as, like, these new personas, like Mosby. Like, Mosby being the villain is funny. Maddie getting tied up, and Esteban and Arwen being the henchman is definitely funny. It just feels like it's so cheesy and cringy to match the vibe of, like, what they're trying to be that they kind of lost me. I feel like it's a good episode, it's just, it's too much like I'm not falling for, and the puns are all about them being superheroes. It's an upgrade of Boston Tea Party, but still not a good Sweet Life of Zack and Cody episode. I mean, the boys are definitely really funny. Zack is able to run super fast. Cody is the ability to read minds. It's just a lot of good stuff, but nothing that I think represents the Sweet Life really well. Then we have Of Clocks. Then we have Season 3, Episode 11 of Clocks and Contracts. And this one is interesting. It's split into a A story and a B story, with Zack trying to negotiate for Carrie their contract of her singing at the Tipton. And it's really funny because we see Zack going head-to-head with Mr. Mosby, and it's kind of stressful as an adult being like seeing a child negotiate your rates, and also giving your resignation to your job. Like, Zack takes things so far in this, and it goes insane. Probably the best part of the episode. The parts that I really don't like are the A plots with Zack, Nia, and London. So Nia and London both have to do a school assignment where it's like a science project, and they both want Cody to help them, and they each have a way of bribing him to do it. Like, Nia has Yo-Yo Ma tickets, Nia has Yo-Yo Mama tickets, and London just wants to pay him, and they gotta get competitive over getting Cody to do all their work for them. And it's just, the episodes are a little too cynical and also boring. Like, it's all the boring stuff from, like, the Birdman episode or the Books and Birdhouses, but this time it's, like, in bad humor. It's all in negative connotations. Like, Nia and London mistreat Cody so bad. Like, he's just trying to help them and not trying to do all the work for them, but they blatantly take advantage of him, then blame him for it, and it just goes on like that the whole episode. And I kind of feel bad even watching it at that point, because it's like, guys, give him a break. Like, you did not have to, like, he's not here to do your homework for you. It just feels like bullying the entire 20 minutes, and it would be cool if it were funny, but it's not. It doesn't get funny at all. So, yeah, that's Season 3. But I was surprised with how little I was offended by episodes of Sweet Life. Like, at worst, they get boring, and they waste my time. Probably more than Wizards, Hannah Montana. Like, those shows, like, they have very few episodes that are really bad. But Sweet Life does kind of have the most, unfortunately. And it's not even that they're bad or offensive. It's just that they get really boring. Sometimes this show just has the thing where it leans a little bit toward Full House and gets boring. And I'm sorry to say it, I've not always been the best Sweet Life fan. I feel like just for those reasons and what I like in kids shows is exactly why I turned away from this. Looking back today, I have a lot more respect for it. I feel like it was a lot harder logistically to pinpoint what I didn't like about these episodes. But, you know, I had to figure it out. I was very much like, dang, this whole show is good. But then why do I not like these episodes? They're just like the other episodes. They give the same vibe. And then I was like, yeah, they're boring. Like, boring is a good reason to not watch a show. If you feel like your time is wasted, that to me is a waste of time. That to me is a reason that something is bad. Fair enough. But without further ado, but we can't talk about Sweet Life without talking about Sweet Life on Deck. I do consider it seasons 4 through 6 of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. So let's see what the bad episodes are in that show, because they are so much worse than this show. At least this show's boring, and at least this show's only boring. Let's get to the Sweet Life on Deck episodes. Hey, Sean. Oh wait, nobody said they were Sean here. Oops. Did I just record for 40 minutes? Ay, ay, ay. A blooper reel. I keep hearing about blooper reels, but they make me feel bad about myself. I don't like showing you guys how much I mess up, because I'm really annoyed when I mess up, and it's not fun. I don't like mess ups. Which is kind of funny. I feel like when I used to film videos with my friends and family, that was something they wanted to do too. They're like, let's film bloopers. And I'm like, I don't enjoy messing up or intentionally messing up, you know? Yay! What's up, Danny? Going to therapy? That's fun. I love therapy. I'm very pro therapy. Professional therapist. No, I'm not. I'm not. Please don't call me that. I'll be right back. I'm going to get my charger. Sweet Caroline. Meow, meow, meow. Will this cord even reach, guys? Let's vote. No, I'm just kidding. Remember when we voted all that Halloween stuff? Who here voted about the Halloween stuff and saw my Halloween videos? Oh, I should rename it. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry you have that. I feel that. I will check out your channel. I just have to do it after I finish my videos. No, I don't script my videos before I record what I say. I actually just watch these episodes. I take like pretty intensive notes, and then I wing it. I feel like what iCarly re-upload? I'm not re-uploading anything right now. Hey, Dante. Okay, so for the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody on Deck, we're jumping into... What episodes did I have? Ay, ay, ay. Oh, yeah, the Paramount Strike video. Yeah, I'm figuring that out right now. I'm just hoping they don't sue me. Okay. I am going to do another video, actually. Because I have to watch some of these Sweet Life ones. Ay, ay, ay! Okay. I mean, at least I did the entire Sweet Life episodes. I guess I could start... No, I should do Sweet Life. Okay. This episode I actually do have more written out than normal. Just because, like, I kind of had an idea for an episode about The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Season 4. Okay. The Sweet Life on Deck is noticeably not a great show. I mean, the original things that made the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody so good were not translated into this show. If anything, the negative things of that show were translated. And then it got kicked up to a worse notch. If you've seen my offensive episodes of any of these series, you'll know I'm not exactly the most giving guy when it comes to critiques. I like to kind of judge things a lot harsher than they need to be judged just for fun, and then kind of praise them later, because I do genuinely have an optimistic and positive outlook on most of these episodes, so I just kind of wanted to make that clear. But I figured out the solution to The Sweet Life on Deck. You know, what if The Sweet Life on Deck in its entirety is just the 4th season of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? Huh? Yeah, what if The Sweet Life never happened, and instead of having a first season of Sweet Life on Deck, we had a 4th season of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? I know you guys all want that. The famous story is that Disney didn't renew their contracts so they could give them a first season salary on a new show, as opposed to just continuing the old show. Not super fun, especially for the Sprouse twins, who probably didn't want to do a pay deduction while also giving more time of their life to production, being minors. Like, it's just not a cool look. And I found a way to kind of look at it in a brighter, more positive point of view, where we look at the entire... where we look at the Sweet Life on Deck and we take out the best elements of it and see if it still works. There's a lot of episodes in The Sweet Life on Deck that dive into, like, the characters from the original show, or they continue the lore of what the original show set up, whether it's just through Zack and Cody, or bringing back characters, or even bringing back concepts that they did in the first series and doing them again in the series. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking at here. And so I streamlined all the episodes I found that bring back recurring elements from the famous Boston Tipton and put them into Sweet Life on Deck and see if it's a tolerable show at that point. Spoiler alert, it's not for me. So we're going to go through each episode and kind of see how it looks. With a surprise. There's actually an episode I feel like you wouldn't offhandedly count, but I'm going to count it, and we'll get to that when the time comes. I'm not going to tell you right here. It's going to be a surprise. Okay? Okay. So we start with season 1, episode 1. Of course, you have to start out with the pilot. You can't just jump into the new show. I remember as a kid, I watched the first episode of Sweet Life on Deck because I was just so curious how they were going to work on this transition, if it was going to be natural, if they were going to have too many replacement characters, who is coming back. Something that I love to watch in reboots is like how the chemistry is recreated, how they fill in gaps of characters that aren't going to come back, and if the show is going to feel that way anymore. For example, we don't have Maddie come back, we don't have Esteban, Arwen, we even only have Carrie for a glimpse, and she's not going to be a main character in this, which is insane. The whole point of the original show is that it's a bunch of kids surrounded by adults all the time and trying to find a way to keep up through like their hijinks and all their fun pranks and getting each other into more trouble. But here the Sweet Life on Deck is more about two socially awkward kids trying to fit into people their age. So Sweet Life on Deck is automatically for younger people, unintentionally. I mean, the original series probably wasn't even thinking about that. But now, as we're getting to the 4th season, or as we're getting to the new season of Sweet Life on Deck, you can afford to think about that stuff. Most notably, the big differences would be the additional characters, like we have Miss Tutwiler, the new teacher, something that actually fills in a void, makes it a little bit better than the first series, because we just had a bunch of interchangeable teachers. Zach and Cody really didn't go to school as much as they were at the Tipton, which is kind of interesting. Like, Wizards and Hannah Montana weren't, like, far away from school as much as Sweet Life was. So yeah, Miss Tutwiler is a nice addition that keeps a consistent teacher on the staff. We have Woody, who is going to be Zach's new roommate. Zach's never had a roommate before, so having Cody and Zach be in separate rooms is a nice new addition. You have to acknowledge that it departures from the original show. Makes me wonder if the 4th season of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody could have just been them in separate rooms and having a lot more independence. That would have been really funny. But you know what? They decided to go with this whole new ship concept, so we're going with it too. Woody is a wild card character, kind of like what Zach was, but this time I guess he's introduced to kind of give them like buddy energy. Zach ends up being a little bit of a straight man in their relationship because Woody is just so much crazier than him. So Zach kind of feels out of place sometimes, but he fills out a really funny dynamic as Bob was, or Barbara from the first series. Like, Sweet Life always had recurring guest stars that were just as funny as the main cast, so it's cool to see more cast members be brought into this. Of course, we have the most notable one, Bailey Prickett. Yeah, so Bailey is Cody's love interest throughout this entire show, something that is very different from the original Sweet Life. Just the fact that Cody is more in an on-again, off-again relationship makes it a lot more adult feeling, whether it's supposed to be or not. Like, it goes from being a middle school show to a high school show in a way that I never thought there would be that big of a difference, but there is. It's social lives become a little bit more vibrant. You see people outside of school a lot more than usual, and you have complex relationships with both friends, like Woody, relationships like Bailey, or even throughout school, like Miss Tutwiler. In addition to adding all one of the really cool moves that they made in this that I was not expecting at all was the addition of London Tipton. Like, London is, thank God she's in it. That was like one of the first things that made me like or look forward to this show. If it was just Zach and Cody and no London Maddie, like, I don't know what I would have thought. But the fact that we get London right off the bat in this pilot too is really cool. They kind of weave her in to Zach and Cody's education in a way that's kind of crazy, because, you know, like, originally they're like 3 years apart, and they just slowly have London get younger and younger just to match the boys' grade. She becomes a lot more in their social circle as opposed to like a babysitter figure, which is something that's kind of jarring if you've watched the original Sweet Life a couple times. But I think they do a good job at keeping the dynamic of rich and poor and what goes on the boat, with also more so shifting to be about buddy comedy with Zach and Cody. Kind of annoying that they bunk them with other people right off the bat, like, that's kind of defeating the purpose of a buddy comedy. I guess they're just trying to take the worst parts of a buddy comedy and the original series and make that work. I feel like they didn't think about it that hard, and that's kind of the issue here. I do think it's really fun that they had Let Us Entertain You, Season 3, episode 21 of the last series. I essentially consider that like the pilot to this series. In that episode, Carrie Martin has... In that episode, Cody and Zach actually get their mom tickets to a cruise ship. And it's the SS Tipton, the perfect extension of the Tipton. And that is a perfect way to introduce it before the show is even announced. It's just Zach and Cody and their mom on this new boat. We get familiar with the new set pretty comfortably before we're even known to expect to have this as a mainstay for the series. They lied to their mom saying that, like, she's not there, that she's there for just a vacation, and this is all gonna be just them relaxing, but it turns out they lie to her about the fact they need her to perform. The only reason that this trip is free is because she has to sing on the sky deck. So now Zach and Cody get to have a vacation, but their mom is just screwed the entire episode. And you feel bad for her. I do like the hijinks in this, like seeing them on a boat with the same energy as Sweet Life of Zach and Cody was really cool. I wonder which executive at Disney like pushed for this, because this was such a good idea. And I don't think I would have even watched the pilot if I wasn't already familiar with seeing that cruise ship deck. Like, that would have been a really unfamiliar thing I would have had to wrap my head around a little easier. So yeah, Let Us Entertain You is the first episode in this 4th season series. I'm stealing it from season 3 and making it season 4. So we got the first episode being Let Us Entertain You, the second episode being the pilot, The Sweet Life Sets Sail, with all these new additions and showing us the new dynamics we have to get used to, along with like Mr. Mosby and having the most fun parts, like, translated over. Most of the first season has a lot of callbacks to this, so you'll see a lot of these episodes being from that, and then the second season has a few, and then the third season wraps it up in a way that is very original Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, so it's fun to jump into those, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Next we have... Oh, wait. Sorry, guys. I liked Zach and Cody. I like both of them. I don't even know how to, like, say it. Okay, so now we're going to the second season of Sweet Life. Sorry, I thought I would have enough to say about this show. I've been watching Sweet Life on Deck a lot lately to try to make this 4th season video. Clearly not enough. I always have the episode pulled up so I can, like, draw from it again. I got a strike because I used clips from Wizards of Waverly Place and iCarly, which is sad. Ay, ay, ay. It's also hard because I really don't have a lot of experience with the Sweet Life on Deck. One second, friends. Wait, I do not need voice memos. So yeah, thanks. So thanks for following along with me. We got that first. Okay, so first episode we have is "Let Us Entertain You" from Sweet Life of Zachy and Cody, season 3. Then we have Sweet Life Set Sail from Sweet Life on Deck, season 1. And then now we jump up to season 1, episode 9, Chocolate and Flowers. So I was going to do episode 7, It's All Greek to Me, the one with, they have like Arwen as a guest star, but they don't have him playing himself. So I kind of didn't want to use it as like this direct canon to the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. So I'm going to jump to episode 9, and it's about Barbara and Bob. Sorry for the burp. So yeah, Barbara and Bob visit the deck of the Sweet Life, and it already feels like it's the original show. Bob is one of the funniest characters from the original series. He's like this semi-serious kid with like a really joking expression, like especially in the election episode from season 2. I remember him being one of the funniest characters. He turns into a businessman in season 3 when the twins get superpowers. Everything about him is really funny, and he's in the show from the very beginning. Core identity of the Sweet Life. So there's no way I wasn't considering this episode as one of the episodes in this season. Barbara is Cody's love interest from the first show. There wasn't really a big emphasis on love storylines, considering it was more about living around the Tipton. Like I said, Sweet Life on Deck is the show that kind of takes that under its belt and becomes more of its identity with Cody and his love triangle. This episode is the perfect transition between the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and the Sweet Life on Deck. So Barbara was his former girlfriend. They would go golfing together. They'd study together. They had this competitive nature that was very akin to Drake and Josh with Josh and Mindy. They essentially were Josh and Mindy, Barbara and Cody. Like, they're all working at the same pub. In this episode, when they visit, basically Cody is planning on telling Barbara that he's not interested in her anymore. And at the same time, Barbara is about to tell Cody that she's dating Bob. Something I was not expecting to happen. The expectations of the episode is that, like, Cody and Zach are going to get to spend time with their former friends. Zach's whole through line is that he wants to just spend guy time with Bob, but Bob keeps getting, like, ridiculed or, like, criticized by Barbara, and they're like, something must be going on here. And the only way to kind of one-up this whole situation is Cody telling Barbara that he actually has his own girlfriend, and it's Bailey, which is kind of funny because it's like, he likes Bailey anyway. It's a little desperate to stay like they're already dating without telling her that that's his plan. Like, very crazy for Cody to do, but makes sense for somebody who's not, like, relationship experienced. So it's a lot of him battling with himself, using Bailey's persona as a cover, which gets really funny at times, I have to admit. Like, seeing Cody trying to fight for his old girlfriend, somebody he doesn't really like anymore, just to prove that he's over her is kind of wacky. It's yeah. But it definitely gives me vibes of the first series where it feels like it's like the cast reuniting, but also there's a plot going on. Like the characters have differences they have to work through. It feels like Zach and Cody would be a lot less close to Bob and Barbara, which is kind of sad. Like having them be like a core identity and being so drifted apart from that core identity makes like this episode being like the third kind of depressing. I remember as a kid being like, dang, are they not going to bring them back constantly? Like, they just have one episode? Because these characters are so, like, minor and supporting to a point where, like, they're only on it every now and then. Like, at that point, you should bring Allison Stoner from the original show. That would feel like a true connection. But I don't know, bringing back anybody and not keeping them is just always so sad. It feels like a tease to think of the original series. It's like the writers know that we'd rather watch that, so they're just trying to convince us it's still going on. But if you watch Flowers and Chocolate in the progression of, you know, Let Us Entertain You, then the pilot to this show, and now this one, like, it starts to feel a little more natural. I feel like streamlines it to be more of the original show in general. Like, if you skip all these episodes of Zach and Cody getting used to the boat, Cody and Bailey's hijinks, like, you start to see that there is a lot of potential in this, and you could see why the writers enjoyed making this jump to the boat. Like, it's so ripe for new stories, new plot lines. They even change how the plot lines are laid out. Sure, it's not the best, and I don't think it's better than The Sweet Life, but it's nice to try something new just for the sake of trying it. My favorite part in this episode is when Cody and Bailey are at the movies with Barbara and Bob, and, like, they're watching this, like, romantic rom-com, and it's essentially, like, commentating on everything the two are going through. I love when sitcoms do that, where they kind of call out the main characters through the form of, like, what they're watching on TV. Like, that's really funny to me, and it escalates the situation so much further because Cody has to pretend like him and Bailey are dating without even Bailey knowing. Like, it's one thing to have the couples, like, pretend to be couples, but to not have one of the other couples know, like, that's crazy. So Cody even, like, asks for licorice at this movie theater and then makes it look like he's putting his arm around Bailey. I'm like, Cody, you're being creepy. I don't think she's gonna ever date you if she finds out that's what you're doing here. And it kind of actually adds to the stakes a lot. Like, you want to see Cody and Bailey together. They have a really good chemistry, despite the fact it doesn't look like Bailey actually likes him back. This episode is a prime example. She's, like, offended every time he puts his arm around her. It's like you could have used this as a perfect example of building their relationship and have Bailey be like, huh, like, this is sweet. Like, maybe she's into it too. But it just looks like Cody is simping over her this entire series. Whatever. We're not going to get into that. I'm not doing a retrospective on the Sweet Life on deck right now. But yeah, Flowers and Chocolate, great addition, great inclusion of old story elements and putting them in the new show's context. Feels very fourth season to me. Then we'll do the fourth episode of season 4 will be Mom and Dad on Deck. Yeah, Carrie and what's the dad's name? Kurt. Carrie and Kurt come on deck to visit Zach and Cody, so of course this is going to feel like a continuation. It's like 4 central characters from the original show taking the full A and B plot of the episode. It has to feel like original. Shoot. Before we get to that, we actually have season 1, episode 13. So the fourth episode in this little fourth season installment is going to be called Maddie on Deck. Yeah, I guess you could guess where this is going. This is one of the most memorable episodes of the first season because it's one of the ones they promised that would connect to the original series to get the viewers to watch. Like, I remember being hesitant about Sweet Life on Deck, but if you saw Maddie Fitzpatrick in the promos, you probably felt a lot better diving into this show and expecting the original vibe to be there. But you're gonna be disappointed. This is, like, not one of my favorite episodes, but it definitely works as, like, the fourth episode of this. It's season 1, episode 13 of Sweet Life on Deck, and now, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, season 4, episode 4. Yep, Maddie Fitzpatrick. She is such a funny character in the original show. classic candy counter girl trying to make her way through life as a smart aleck and trying to get money while also dealing with the fact that nothing really works in her favor. Like, usually a lot of things go wrong when she tries to be a good person. Like, she's a big advocate for things, like when the Birdman episode, like the Birdman of Boston episode, she was like a big protester against, the zoos, and she fought against Mr. Mosby for a raise. Like, she spends a lot of she's a very cautious, neurotic character that adds a lot of depth to the show that Cody doesn't have to take on in Sweet Life on Deck. Because in Sweet Life on Deck, Cody has to be the guy that's like, the environment and standing up for things. Like, Maddie was the original poster child for that, and I feel like all those attributes had to get shoved onto Cody, making him a lot more rigid for no reason, and there's not a lot of comic relief because it's more him against everybody. But I digress. Maddie is also the one that kind of originated that vibe to the Sweet Life, that advocate fighting vibe. It's also hard to ignore that Zach had a crush on her. Like, it was kind of a part of Zach's little romantic storyline, and while there wasn't a lot of romance in the original Sweet Life, there definitely had this element of, the boys still had crushes. Relationships would play a part every now and then, and even though the Sweet Life on Deck kind of takes that as its, like, main persona, like, this is a good way of weaving that into it. Like, having Maddie come back and Zach actually care about her this time is really cool. It's so funny that, like, London feels like no connection to Maddie, although it does kind of make her seem a lot more shallow. Like, she's not super inviting, she doesn't seem to have, like, a super strong connection, when really they shared most of their B-plots. Mosby is super excited about seeing Maddie again, which is sweet. Like, I can't believe he saw her as a friend. I can't tell if that's more of a genuine connection or just because the show portrayed it that way and that character assumed that's what he was supposed to do. Feels a little inorganic at times, but then you kind of forgive a lot of it when the cast fights and Maddie comes down to the sky deck and they kind of like shut her down. Of course, Zach is the most excited to see her because she was probably his favorite part of the Tipton to begin with. Like, that was such a funny plot line to have him hitting on her all the time. And I love the new hairdo she has. It definitely gives me 4th season of Zach and Cody vibes. Not super hard to weave her into the plots like this, which is always exciting. She plays a lot of the straight man where, like, everything is a little ridiculous to her. She has a lot of bubbly moments, but for the most part, it's about her being excited for all the stops they're making on the trip.
Prints on the brain. It's the only one you'll ever see.
His tower.
Kiss right about. And on one foot. Yeah, my castles are way.
The ship stops at a castle, and Cody is more so involved in Bailey in this episode, so I don't want to get too into that dynamic. It's more so about Zach. I would call this like a Zach episode. They visit a castle as one of the stops on the ship, and Maddie is super excited to see the prince. She cares a lot about guys, I guess. That is definitely from the original series. I feel like they had a lot of really funny plot lines of trying to impress guys, like with Zac Efron, with so many elements, so it's cool to see that come back here. The prince ends up being somebody that's kind of like Zach in maturity. Like, he's a lot younger and little and sees Zach as a threat. Kind of views Maddie as an object, which is kind of disrespectful. And the prince gives me very, like, Moises Arias vibes. Like, it feels like Rico from Hannah Montana is a king and just demanding to see Maddie all the time. And poor Maddie, expecting, like, this, like, nice fairy tale experience at this new castle as somebody who, like, has been poor in the past is, like, really fun. and seeing her like react to how little this kid is, how immature he is, it makes Zach look a lot better, which is kind of sad. Like before, like she would just dismiss Zach as this kid she used to babysit, and now he's a lot older and seems to like fit into her life a little more naturally, not in a romantic way, but I don't know, it's complicated. Like he's now in the same social group as London as opposed to like being much older. So since they're at the same age, I can't help but feel like that's a possibility they could end up together. But we never really see Ashley Tisdale or Maddie again, which is definitely a major loss. But for overall, just like reintroducing us to the fourth season, it's kind of a good addition. Like it feels like the end of her chapter as opposed to the beginning of hers. And as opposed to the beginning of it, you know?
Have it back.
I'm afraid that's not possible. He officially declared tap tap.
Tutor, even a
I cannot miss an episode.
Did you get through? Maddie, we think we found a way to get.
Maddie kind of serves as like the main character in this episode, which I like. Like she didn't just come back as a supporting character for Zach and Cody. Like she is fully like taking the helm of the A plot because this prince wants to marry her, almost demands it, and she doesn't feel like she could say no, which is kind of depressing. She doesn't have a lot of time with London, which is kind of a shame. That's the part that like makes me really feel like it's separate from the show. I'm sure that was like a scheduling issue or something, or like they just had so many ideas they didn't know which one to choose. I guess Maddie getting married to this kid was definitely a funny one. Like I'm glad that that's what they went with. And like having her be that main plot made it feel like the original show altogether. Like they could have just had her have a couple lines, they could have had her incite some actual incident with Zach and Cody, but it kind of becomes Maddie and Zach's episode as opposed to Zach and Cody's episode, or even Zach's episode, which is really cool. Feels like original Sweet Life, and it's so sweet to watch Mosby walk Maddie down the aisle. Like that actually gives me like a really nostalgic, like romantic, a really nostalgic, like, sentimental moment just to see those characters walking down, like, sharing a really important moment. Like, that's something that I feel like really deserves another season of Sweet Life. Like, that's why I wanted to make this video. Like, let's look at this as, you know, kind of like another installment of the original franchise, not necessarily a new show trying to downgrade itself. And with that in mind, like, this is a lot more sentimental of a moment. And I really like this episode being a kind of installment like that. So yeah, overall, Maddie on Deck, Season 1, Episode 13, is officially Season 4, Episode 4 of Sweet Life. So let's go to Season 4, Episode 5, Mom and Dad on Deck. Isn't that crazy? We're still on the first season of original show references, and there's just so many things that are trying to get us to like this show. I like can't even believe it. So Mom and Dad on Deck is about Kurt and Carrie coming to the ship. Each of them were gonna each individually visit Zach and Cody, but we're surprised to find out that both of them had gotten there. I mean, Zach was kind of hoping to have like this bros night, and Cody was excited to share all this time with their dad. So Carrie showing up was kind of like a unexpected event to happen for them, making it like a little bit more of a conflict. Sure, like you think that it's about to be about them arguing, or like Zach versus his mom or Zach versus his dad, but it ends up being different than that. It turns out, like, after a little bit of getting to see each other again, I like seeing Kurt on this show because it makes it really consistent with their divorce situation. That seeing them argue like this is a very reminiscent of the original show. It kind of reminds me of the episode where they tried to get into their dad's apartment just to have girls over. Like, that's very Sweet Life. The boys after they're all done fighting for the parents' attention with like gifts they're given from Carrie and Kurt, they learn that there's an opportunity for Carrie and Kurt to actually be working there on the ship so they can actually live there with Zach and Cody, which would kind of make the entire show from then forward a Sweet Life of Zach and Cody vibe. Like, that's the crazy stuff. Like, this is season 4, episode 5 in my book, because it does feel like the original show. And there is a chance, like, I remember watching this at the time, thinking that there was a chance the parents would be involved in this. Like, it wouldn't be weird. It would definitely fit in pretty naturally. It just depended on where the writers wanted to go. So Mr. Mosby has talent drop out, and he needs entertainment on the SS Tipton. So, of course, Carrie's a singer, Kurt's a rock star, two things I completely forgot about, but kind of blend perfectly together. They're apparently both on this off-Broadway show that is about the grocery store with a can of tomatoes and a shopping cart falling in love. It's kind of a ridiculous concept, but very classic of like a sitcom in general. So I thought that was kind of funny. Basically, if they get this job, like, Zach and Cody are really worried about their social lives. Like, they're finally away from their parents, they're experiencing high school, and they kind of don't want to be around them anymore. And I kind of get that. Like, I feel like that was the age I also was starting to step away from my parents, but you guys are away from them all the time. Like, you wouldn't just be excited if they spent more time there? I don't know. Point is, very classic episode. They sabotage their performance so that way Mosby doesn't want to hire them or like allow them to keep performing on the boat, which is kind of cruel. Zach and Cody pretty much make huge embarrassments out of them by Zach giving the lighting operator a sock so he ruins the lighting and everybody messes up. And poor parents having kids like that. They end up getting to a nice resolve at the end of the episode where Carrie kind of like straightens it out. Where Carrie kind of gives them like a good message and is like, sometimes it's best to like be upfront and tell us you don't want us here as opposed to ruining our careers. It's nice that she's like their mom and that's like a family dynamic worth forgiving. But if this was like a friend or something, I'd be like, you tried to ruin my chances of getting a job? That's kind of insane. But yeah, the hijinks in this episode, clearly Zach and Cody are back in their like old twin position where they're young, they're immature. What made the original Sweet Life so good feels alive in this one. It's not a lot of Woody, not a lot of Bailey. It's very focused on Zach and Cody, which I like. And I like that we don't see the last of the parents in this. Like, we do get to see them in the finale, but let's get there when we get there. Next, we have the 4th season's 6th episode. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate complimenting my collection. I love my collection. Double Crossed. Double Crossed is also the 1st season, episode 21. So, being our 5th installment of the 4th season, being our 6th installment of the 4th season, we're almost halfway there through being a normal sitcom season. Double Cross... Oh my gosh, let me start that over. So next we have the 6th episode of my season 4 Sweet Life video. So next we have the 6th episode in the 4th season, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody revival, I'm kind of going with. Originally, I wasn't going to include this episode because, spoiler alert, not a lot of the main cast of Sweet Life comes back. So I was very careful when I was like deciding if this was even necessary to mention. It's season 1, episode 21, Double Cross, the first season finale of Sweet Life on Deck. And you're probably thinking like, oh wow, like they have to have people come back for this, like it has to be a big episode. And it kind of is. We have Cody and Bailey being at the forefront of this. And sure, that's more of like a Sweet Life on Deck thing, like that's the primary connection to this episode, but characters do come back. And sure, they don't have to do with the original franchise, but they do have to do with the original Disney Channel. This is the second part in the 3-part crossover of That's So Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana. If you guys saw my retrospective on this, I wasn't too happy with how this special kind of came to be. I hate it when they barely acknowledge other episodes of... I hate it when they barely acknowledge other characters that the crossovers were planned to be about, like Hannah and Selena not being in the same episode ever. Like, that's kind of annoying. But we're looking at this from a strictly Sweet Life of Zach and Cody standpoint. Like, why did I keep this episode in the chronology to be remembered as the original show's legacy? Because Hannah Montana is in it. Hannah Montana pulls them back to the first season of The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, something that is a really big deal. Zach and Cody both recognize Hannah from the first time they met, bringing us all the way back to Boston in complete vibes. The whole premise of this episode is that Cody is trying to get Hannah Montana tickets for Bailey to kind of get them to be on that relationship level. Stop, we're not just friends anymore. We have to go to Hannah Montana concert, and that connects us to commitment for life, which kind of would for me. I don't know about you guys. Don't you think? Even though the episode kind of teeters away from being about even the Sweet Life to being wizards, this episode is necessary. Despite all the wizard stuff, which we kind of have to put aside for the sake of this video, it's more so about Cody and Bailey's turning point. This ends up being a big deal. This is the moment they end up staying together. And it's cool to think that we could keep all the original story beats of The Sweet Life on Deck in this 4th season of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Like, this could essentially just be one of the episodes in this ongoing storyline. It's nice to see Cody with the shirt, with the gross shirt that he had in the first That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana special. Like, that's a nice callback. And seeing Miley as her 3rd season self greeting Zach and Cody as their 4th season selves, like, that's cool. I like that. So we kind of had to throw this in as the 6th episode. So let's keep going, though. So we have the 7th episode of Zach and Cody season 4 is going to be crossing into the 2nd season of Sweet Life on Deck. Yep, we went over all the episodes of the 1st season that incorporated the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and there were so many more than I thought. Like, 6 episodes is a lot, considering they only had 21. So the 2nd season only having 2 is kind of a drastic change. It seems like they really took on the identity of what they wanted this 2nd era to be. And it's going full force into Cody's relationship with Bailey. We are fully jumping away from the whole Tipton, Boston era of experiences. Like, we're fully moved on at this point.
Okay, now give me a synonym for perfect.
For the weekend. And for the record, I'm not even 40.
Sure you are. If you say so. You're only as old as you feel.
London has arrived.
Oh my gosh, that'll be such a funny crossover.
To meet you, I'm Cindy Cannon,
Hey, Dream Master, how you doing? Thank you for the compliment on my haircut.
Cannon Modeling Agency.
Season 2, episode 15. Yeah, the 15th episode of The Sweet Life on Deck. They took this long to invite an old character back. Like, that's crazy to me. It's called Mother of the Groom, but this one is probably the best one in the entire series. I feel like the callback is so good that it's like hard to deny that it was okay waiting this long. Like, we'd almost completely abandoned the original series up until this point after Double Crossed. So it's nice to have Esteban, Julio Ricardo Montoya de Rosa Ramirez on this episode. It's called Mother of the Groom. So even though it's season 2, episode 15, it is season 4, episode 7 in my book. Or season 4, episode 8 in my book. I don't remember which one. So yeah, he's doing really well. Apparently, Esteban comes in hot, and So Esteban comes in to the SS Tipton really excited to see Mr. Mosby again. And this time, Mosby is not excited to see these recurring characters. I kind of feel bad for them. I feel like they shared so many sentimental moments together from the Tipton that it's so sad to see Mosby not excited to see one of the characters. But he actually drops it pretty quickly. Esteban has great news. He's getting married. Not only is he the night shift manager at the Tipton. Ugh, I wish I could see that episode. I would kill to see Esteban at the Tipton being the manager. Like, that would be so cool. But he's here because he's getting married. And Mosby is super excited. He even asks Mosby to be his officiant. It's nice that, like, all these huge life events are kind of what bring people together. Like, having Maddie almost married being a 4th season part, that's kind of a fun idea. And having Esteban also getting married, it's a little boring, but it's still interesting. We actually are introduced to a lot of characters in Esteban's life, more than even the original series would have done. Like, he brings his mother and his fiancé on the ship. And I thought for a second his fiancé was the woman from the ballroom dancing episode where Esteban has a whole ballroom dancing team and actually dances with this one girl. But I don't think it's the same girl, actually. But his whole conflict is that his mother doesn't want him to get married to this girl, and this girl loves him. Like, it's Esteban essentially choosing between being a mama's boy. Zach and Cody and him have a lot of moments together that make this episode a really fun watch. Like, for example, Esteban asks them to be his best man. Like, why in the world would they do that? These are children, and now they're all of a sudden, like, accompanying this adult on their wedding. Like, a wedding is a lot of work. I don't know if I would trust Zach and Cody, of all people, to make this a seamless process. They talk about the Tipton a lot, which really makes me feel like it dives into the 4th season aesthetic. Like, Zach and Cody are still causing ruckus here. Like, we're, as an audience, looking through this at the lens of the last time we saw Esteban, and it feels like we're back at home. Like, Bailey's, like, a lot less prominent in this episode. All the new aspects kind of take the back seat of the original show coming out to shine once again. Zach has this Zach keeps having this, like, recurring experience where he's like, Zach keeps having this, like, recurring attitude toward weddings, like, dude, never get married, this and this. It's like, dude, you're 17 years old. I don't think kids in high school cared that much about stuff like this. I mean, it feels like adult writers were just trying to use old sitcom tropes to try to fill out the episode a little bit more, because Zach's perspective's a little warped. I mean, I get it, he's a ladies' man, but does he really want to talk Esteban out of getting married, or even pretend like he knows what that's about to be like? I love how London doesn't recognize Esteban straight off the bat. Like, why in the world would you have these two characters meet again, and London just doesn't see him as anything beside, like, a bellhop? Kind of a perfect joke, so I'm not going to critique it too much. We have, like, this... Since we got this new character, Doc Shaw, he was introduced in the Roomy episode as this, like, new celebrity entity on the boat, best friends with Zach now. And he has added a cool new element to the show. I mean, it kind of alters the 4th season of Sweet Life because we didn't really get to introduce him through any of the episodes, but whatever, I think it works. Esteban recognizes him right away, and it kind of normalizes him into the plot. I can't imagine what this actor thought. Like, he probably knew Esteban from the original show too, so to get to meet him must have been fun for him. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see them reconnect with the new characters, have the new energies meet the old energies, and all come together in this huge event, a wedding. My favorite part is when they actually have like a bachelor party and they're like all dancing about it. Like it's some really fun vibes and definitely like a mature version of what the original show set out to do. Something that I think is actually really awesome. Dude, thank you so much for watching my retrospectives. I appreciate it. Those are my favorite things to make, so I really want you guys to keep watching them. Thank you guys so much. Cody and Esteban actually bond a lot more than they used to, which is very sweet, because, you know, they were so much... Because Esteban was more of like a parental figure, and now suddenly he's kind of like Cody's friend, and I really like that. I like that Esteban essentially does get the A-plot the same way Maddie did. I feel like Barbara and Bob kind of got like a second plot. The mom and dad also kind of got their like featured parts, but not necessarily the episode was about them. Like this episode is purely about Esteban, and I like how that kind of connects me back to the original show. The dancing panda is so awkward, and it just made me laugh when I was watching this. Like, I could not get over it. We have Esteban having to make a choice between his mother and his new fiancée, Francesca, and that's kind of a cool concept. I like that Esteban is, like, forced to grow as a character. London and Bailey end up meeting the mother and trying to get her to be less strung up and, like, more, like, easygoing and make Esteban less of, like, a main part of his life, which I kind of find cool. Like, I feel like that's always an issue with, like, mothers after they have to let go of their kids. Like, they have a trouble finding themselves, and you feel bad for them. But it's cool that London and Bailey work themselves into a Sweet Life-esque plot just by being a part of that. Like, there's so many new characters, but somehow revisiting these old experiences make it feel like a Sweet Life Season 4. The culmination of this episode is actually pretty incredible when they're about to have the wedding and the mom interrupts. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way. And it actually becomes like a jaw-dropping moment where we're sincerely worried about the characters. Like, you're like, oh my god, is Esteban actually going to go through with this, or is the mom actually going to cause, like, a huge scene? In real life, I feel like the mom would have caused a huge scene. In this, she actually just tells them that she blesses the marriage, and they're able to actually get wed, and Esteban grew as a person, they got married. It's a really nice kind of circling ending for Esteban, and I like seeing the boys get to experience that. It's like just an all-around genuine episode, and the jokes in the final scene with the mom are just hilarious. Like, Esteban and his mother together should have been in the first series to begin with, because this is such a good gimmick. I, like, cannot stop smiling when I see them, like, actually at the altar and, like, joking with each other. It's such a genuine, like, vibe. I like that the new characters kind of take a back seat but still progress the plot. Like, Bailey and Doc Shaw and Woody, like, they all are funny still. They're not getting in the way, but they're also not, like, completely out of the episode. Like, they found a really good way at balancing this ensemble at this point. That makes it work really good. So yeah, Mother of the Groom is definitely a great addition to the 4th season of The Sweet Life. Then we have an unexpected one that I couldn't really find until I actually watched the show. It's Season 4, Episode 8 of Sweet Life. It's called Model Behavior, calling out to the episode from Season 2, Episode 23 of Sweet Life on Deck. Model Behavior, same episode. But yeah, in this episode, we actually have the French twins come back. I'm not sure if you remember them from the original show. They really didn't play a huge part, but when they did have romantic-based episodes, Zach and Cody had them to work with. And I kind of liked it. Like, French 101 is one of the most famous ones where the boys are trying to impress them, and it's all about the fact that there's like a twin convention, and the fact that they meet that way makes it a lot cooler to see Sweet Life on Deck. Like, it feels like it's continuing a Sweet Life episode. So yeah, this is the 8th episode of the 4th season of Sweet Life. It kind of reminds me of that episode. It kind of gives me the same energy of that episode from the original series, Twins at the Tipton, where the boys also were like, where the whole gimmick of the episode is leaning to the boys being twins. And I like when we talk about the boys being twins, because that is something that's consistent over Sweet Life on Deck and Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. You know, like, the plot lines that involve them that involve them being brothers make it a really relatable sitcom, sure, like Drake and Josh. But then when we talk about the fact that there's identical twins, it does something in this show that automatically excludes all the other shows and makes it its own unique premise. Like, this episode reminds us that there's a whole twin aspect to their dynamic that we can't forget about. And seeing these two model girls come back from the original series is great. I like that it's a conflict between Bailey and Cody. Like, Cody is kind of comparing his old relationship to his new one, which, poor Barbara, I can't believe, like, she wasn't as much of a threat. But this is cool that, like, we actually get to see these guys again.
Okay, now give me a synonym for...
Bailey.
Honestly, I'm not even sure he's the one I dated.
Oh, watch out. Your hair's caught in your earring. Let me get that for you.
There's a hole in my heart.
Yeah, well, there will be a hole in your head if you don't back off my man.
Whoa, slow.
Do you think he forced it?
Hook, line, and...
Just move along the wall to the center of the elevator.
This episode is really good at connecting Bailey and the twins as being, like, more a part of the same series. Like, at first you'll see Janice and... At first you'll see the French twins and be like, oh, like, they're definitely from the original show, and the new people were... And the new... Oh, my gosh. And Bailey is, like, this whole love interest of the new show, which is kind of cool. I feel like my favorite moment of this episode that really ties it back is when the French twin and Bailey actually stage a fake argument over Cody as if, like, she hadn't got over him the whole time, even though, like, they barely dated. It was middle school. And so it looks like that Bailey and this girl get into an argument over him, and Cody's confidence goes to the moon. Like, this kid has never had girls fight over him, and he never will again, probably. And it's just funny to think that, like, this ended up being a whole, like, disguise. Like, Bailey and this French girl are actually friends, and they just staged that whole argument to make it look like they were fighting over him, but really it's just to be sweet. And it definitely harkens on the original Sweet Life. I know this episode feels like it's mainly in the Sweet Life on Deck, but these cameos really make it feel like we're back to the original show in a really comforting way. So I just had to add this addition to it. But with that said, that kind of ends our season 2 episodes for the connection between Sweet Life Season 4. So, yeah, we got 8 episodes of this 4th season, and we're kind of getting toward the end of it. It kind of is giving me, like, Hannah Montana Forever vibes, where, like, they have a whole final season of them at a new place, as if it's a new show, but really they're trying to fit in as many stories as possible. And I think this show would have done so much better if they tried that Hannah Montana style of doing it, instead of going 3 extra years for all these cast members. Like, that's so not fair for them. Like, I feel so bad that they had to, like, treat this like a new show when Hannah Montana got to go off amicably. But we're definitely in the home stretch, and I feel like we got some really good episodes out of this. Considering the fact that, like, the Sweet Life of Deck, and considering the fact that the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody just got better over time, and the Sweet Life on Deck just got worse over time, it feels like doing this whole 4th season retrospective is a way kind of resurrecting what could have been. Like, I feel like this could have been such a high note for this entire series if they kept only these aspects of the new show. But that's not the world we're working with here. So let's take a break from the world and get back to my concept. Season 4, Episode 9 of Sweet Life Season 4. Season 4, Episode 9 of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. This next one is taking us to the 3rd season of On Deck. It's going to be episode... Okay, hold up. Hey guys, thanks for being patient. Oh yeah, the 100 Things. Yeah, I do see that. I forgot that 100 Things. I actually really liked that show. It did feel like a Ned's Declassified ripoff, but I liked it. Sorry, one sec. Oh. Oh, sorry guys. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm tired. Okay, season 3, episode 7 is called Computer Date. So yeah, Computer Date is the 4th season, 8th episode of Sweet Life season 4. So this one is cool because it's all about Arwen. And it's about love, question mark? Yeah, the thing I loved about this episode is that it feels exactly like an episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Like, no joke, it couldn't possibly be mistaken for Sweet Life on Deck, because it's about Arwen and his machine. The episode starts with Arwen telling the boys that he's going to be visiting them again, which is so funny because he comes in on this giant rubber ball that ends up causing more destruction than good, and already Mosby is over it. I love it when like we start off by annoying Mosby, and that's always fun. Arwen is just as klutzy as he last was, with the same energy right away. London and him reconnect, and that's actually really sweet. Like, she thinks that he's about to save her from this boating school, which is funny because it seems like she's still not over the fact she has to go to school here. Like, London, it's been 3 seasons at this point. It's been so long since Zack and Cody have seen Arwen, though. Like, I wish this was a character that came back sooner, as opposed to, like, even Esteban coming back last season. Like, we could have seen a little bit more of Arwen. We have, like, a little bit of a reference. It kind of reminds me of the episode Arwenstein from the 3rd season of Zack and Cody, because it's about his invention going haywire. So he creates this AI-like robot to control the ship. Meanwhile, Cody's having all these arguments with Bailey and not getting along with her. So he actually almost enjoys the idea of being liked by another person. He's like on his own loneliness experience. Like, poor Cody, I feel so bad for him. But the AI that Arwen creates inevitably has a crush on Cody, becoming his newest issue. And I love that this is like, Arwen's not necessarily the main character of this, where the conflict impedes on him. But the stuff he does create, he's so close to. His whole his whole invention going haywire, like, that's a very Arwen issue to have. It reminds me of the episode where he's the one who created that phone booth where everybody was, like, different in the alternate reality. But yeah, just the fact that Cody is, like, having a crush on this computer system is so funny and creepy at the same time. And of course, Arwen had to be the one to create this. Like, he's created monsters before, and he's gonna create them again. It's just so nice seeing him back with his new dynamics, even like being reacted to by some of the new characters. Him and Mr. Mosby's chemistry is undeniable. Like, they are so funny together. Why couldn't Arwen just have been like the ship engineer or something? You know, like, he's an engineer at the Tipton, and they should need that too. Arwen is even passed out by the end of this episode, so we get that classic, like, Arwen can't handle his own inventions gimmick that we used to get from the old Tipton, and I love that. I love seeing him be involved in this. It's also giving me vibes of the Great Plumber Games, where Arwen was competing with this guy to win the Plumber Games and get a kiss from Carrie. Speaking of Carrie, Carrie actually has a couple mentions in this. Like, he talks about how he's still in love with her. Even him and Cody have, like, a one-on-one moment where Arwen is like, Cody, like, don't give up a real connection for a robot, which is very insightful. It makes me think that, like, he's learned a lot, but he does admit that he's had a crush on Carrie and still hasn't found anybody else, and is, like, essentially depressed that this has never worked out for him. And I kind of feel bad. I wish they didn't leave us off on that note. But stay tuned, because he comes back back again one more time at the end of this, which I find exciting. But yeah, overall, the Callie relationship with Cody falling in love with a robot, it feels like a very classic plotline from the original show, so I have no problem, like, putting it in as episode 8 of this one. Getting over this whole ship issue that Arwen had created, and seeing all the moments they spent together in this control room definitely give me some great vibes of nostalgia from the original show. So I'm happy to call this one of the parts of it. The episode ends with him wearing an entire magnet on his head to be taken from the ship. Like, to think that they don't even dock for Arwen to get here is insanity to me. Like, there has to be, like, some kind of safety regulation against it. So yeah, all around, it's nice to have Arwen back. Next, we have Season 3, Episode 10, Trouble in Tokyo. So Trouble in Tokyo is Season 4, Episode 9 for me. Yeah, so this episode is a part of the canon and the chronology because it has Carrie Martin come back again, which I kind of like. I wish we got her in the second season, because we got her in the first season twice, and then now we get her in the third season. But more so, like, if you look at it in isolation, Carrie's just in, like, 3 episodes of the 4th season I've just created. So it almost kind of works out in a way. So Carrie is coming back to... So instead of Carrie coming back to the boat this time, Zach and Cody find out that Carrie is actually filming a commercial in Tokyo. So when the ship stops, it becomes more of like a family episode. I like that we're kind of like giving a break to some of the new main characters to focus on the old ones. It's almost like this show lives in intermittent revivals of itself. And I like that we also talk about... give me a second. Okay, so... The one twist about this is that the soda commercial they're doing, Carrie doesn't actually like the soda they're drinking. Apparently, it has shrimp in it, which is so gross. And Carrie ends up having, like, this, like, whole immature episode where, like, she becomes kind of like a crybaby of, like, not wanting to do a lot of these things, which is funny because we've seen her as this mother-like figure, not only in the entire 3 seasons of Sweet Life, but in these couple episodes we've seen of the 4th season of Sweet Life. like, we have her in Let Us Entertain You, and she's, like, letting her kids essentially lead the way. Here, she, like, doesn't want to be involved in the soda commercial, so she kind of cries a lot and tries to get out of it, with Zach and Cody essentially stepping in to be like, hey, like, we can help you get out of this situation. Speaking of which, so apparently a guy at the Tipton took a liking to Carrie when she was singing, wanted her to be in this commercial, and she's super stoked about it. Like, she's at the top of her game and excited. Zach and Cody are, like, really not in the mood for this, which I also find funny. The B-plot is pretty digressed away from any of the main Season 4 stuff I would want to talk about, so just assume Bailey and Woody are just kind of off doing their own thing. And we get the good old-fashioned Cody, Zach, and Carrie vibes. It reminds me of Risk It All when the three were involved in that game show. Like, that was solely about them, and that's kind of how this season is taking on this episode. When Carrie doesn't want to do the commercial and cries her way out of it, basically the guy is like, I have no tolerance for you, like, I took a liking to you earlier, but now I'm not taking a liking to you anymore, which is kind of funny. And then when they threatened Carrie with all the money they would have to, all the money she's cost them, which, by the way, it's not how it would work. I think if you're the talent, you wouldn't be responsible for making up the money of the production. That's crazy. They are told that they have to work in the taste testing lab. Zach, Cody, and Carrie. So they have to try all these disgusting flavors. And I'm talking, like, really disgusting. Like, they said shrimp poop at one point, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that's a flavor. I think you guys are just misrepresenting a culture again. Because that's, like, that can't be an actual flavor. And so they're essentially living in their own personal heck in Tokyo, trying all these disgusting flavors. And you kind of feel bad for them, but you like that you have an episode with Carrie in it. I do like that experience. I forget how it ends.
You to the dentist right.
This peanut butter and jellyfish soda is delicious.
The
Ew.
jellyfish.
Well, I put the jellyfish in the peanut butter.
No, you did.
Okay.
Really nice.
Annoying. Then the episode kind of ends in a way that, like, the Hannah Montana episode ended. Like, I'm not sure if you remember that cheese jerky situation, but Oliver and Jackson dropped cheese in beef jerky, and it became this new thing. And that's kind of what happens here. Zach accidentally mixes peanut butter and jellyfish, and it becomes like a great new flavor that this guy suddenly wants to use, but he can't use it because copyright issues. Kind of like me and Paramount right now. Kind of annoying to not have your videos be uploaded and appearing because they get appealed all the time. Like, I don't know why. Just sue me at this point. And yeah, so in order to get out of their... So now they can get out of their situation that they are trapped tasting all of these sodas and forcefully... So now they're trapped... They finally get out of being forcibly trapped and having to try all these disgusting flavors, and great, they get to leave Tokyo. I really don't want to talk about the B-plot. I mean, London's in it. That's the closest thing they get to the original show. But it's essentially like they have a sumo wrestling competition. Does not need to be a part of the original canon. Really don't want it to be, actually. It's kind of really boring. But yeah, Carrie being in the episode again, that's great. I love that the mother is the most recurring character out of all the old ones. I do think we should get a little bit more of Esteban, a little bit more of Maddie, but they never come back, unfortunately. We do get Arwen and the dad again, so it's actually the most natural recurring characters, but still, like, it would be nice to have the other ones come back again. So yeah, that was episode 8. The 9th episode is kind of depressing. It's Graduation on Deck, the final episode of The Sweet Life on Deck. And that is the perfect end to what would be the 4th season of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. The same way Hannah Montana Forever ended with their finale, and, you know, we only got to see their house for like 13 episodes. Imagine this was kind of the case with the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Imagine they had a 4th season all taking place on one deck. The Sweet Life on deck. And imagine Hannah Montana turned Hannah Montana Forever into 3 seasons, where her secret was slowly being revealed through 3 more seasons. That would be torture. I wish they did that with the Sweet Life on deck. But yeah, they end the entire series with a bunch of recurring characters coming back. Not as much as you would hope, though. Like, not Esteban. Like, come on, guys. We deserve to see them one more time. But yeah, Kurt and Carrie come back one more time. And we finally get to see the boys graduate. It's a big deal, and it's a really nice culmination of everything we've seen before. I don't know if you remember Season 3 of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but that's when they went from middle school to high school, and Zack, like, had this whole issue with summer school, but essentially, like, they're all new in high school. Something that is a great prerequisite to this entire series, and something that kind of ends pretty perfectly. You know, like, we see them entering high school, and then 3 seasons later, we see them exiting high school. Like, it works out in a way that Disney Channel probably didn't anticipate, but are lucky they got. Of course, London has to graduate this episode. Doesn't make sense to me, but I feel like if we did view this as a 4th season, her character would kind of be fallen under the bus. Like, Zack and Cody are lucky their plot lines are intact, because London just feels left behind in every way. I feel like I should have added a couple episodes with her plot lines to make it feel like she's still part of the show, but it didn't really work. I mean, there was that one episode of Sweet Life on Deck where London and Mr. Mosby had, like, this whole issue, like London forgot Mosby's birthday, she's trying to get him a good gift, but she doesn't really know what to get him, and that's a good character development episode on both those character parts, but since it didn't directly tie to specifically Zack or Cody, I didn't really feel like it was necessary to mention, so we're going to end the season 4 with episode 9, Graduation on Deck. Arwen is back, and Carrie and him are in the same room, which is probably the reason I like this episode the most. Sure, we get a lot of experiences with Zack and Cody not knowing what to do with the rest of their lives. They're not accepted into the college. They have trouble with finding their identities, and their parents actually step in. Kurt and Carrie are great parents in this episode, helping them, like, seek out each other, seek out, like, guidance, and fully put, like, an end to their career. Something bigger than the Tipton experience, bigger than the high school experience. Like, this whole franchise is coming to an end. And we got a lot of great moments, like references, callbacks to the original show in a way that they haven't done in quite some time. You know, like the first season had a bunch of callback episodes, second season only a few, and this last season gave us some really nice small hints of it, but Cody and Bailey are back together. Everything seems to be at peace as we conclude the Sweet Life of at least as we conclude the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. So let's review, shall we, now that we're done. We have season 4 of the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody coming in hot, and I really think this would have been the ideal way to end the original show, although I guess you can't really change too much about it. That's just how life goes. So yeah, we have season 4, episode 1, Let Us Entertain You, from season 3 of Zack and Cody, and then we have the Sweet Life Set Sail, episode 2, then we have Maddie on Deck, episode 3, episode 4, then we have episode 3, Chocolate and Flowers with Bob and Barbara. Then episode 4, Maddie on Deck. Episode 5, Mom and Dad on Deck. Episode 6, Double Crossed with the Hannah Montana crossover. Episode 7, Groom of the Bride, which is the Episode 7, Mother of the Groom, which is the 15th episode of Season 2, and Esteban's returning episode. Model Behavior, Episode 8. Episode 9, Trouble in Tokyo, and then Episode 10, Graduation on Deck. Wow. So we really got a full 4th season out of these Sweet Life on Deck episodes. I would totally recommend everybody getting together right now and watching these episodes again and just tell me this doesn't make a good 4th season. Yeah, Johnny2000 has been all about these revivals recently, and I've been having fun, like, piecing together how they would work if they did, and I definitely think if the Sweet Life on Deck took the Hannah Montana Forever approach, they could have had a really, really strong final season, but instead, they had a really, really awkward 3 seasons and 71 additional episodes to the original Zack and Cody. As I get to finish my retrospectives on Zack and Cody, I feel like this will be a nice little gift before it's over. Let me know if you really, really need me to do the Let me know if you really, really need me to do retrospectives on Sweet Life on Deck. I'm really not looking forward to doing it, but I will if you guys think it'll be worth watching. Thank you guys so much for joining me on my Zack and Cody journey. I mean, I've had a lot of fun with this, like talking about the offensive episodes recently, talking about how we could finally make a 4th season work of that show. It's just a good show. Like, it deserves to have one set of cast, not too many hodgepodges of ensemble characters that won't really mean that much to anybody later. But whatever, it saved itself, and I'm just happy that the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody lives on, even if it's not in the best way. It still is. There's still an optimal way to review this show, if you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, everybody, this is Johnny2000. Have a great day. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But I should do one more, right? I did this entire... Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, guys, makes me tired because nobody will watch it with me because it's not funny enough. Okay, I'm going to call it. 2.5 hours is enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.